Yuta Okotsu is simply amazing. He has done the impossible. He has surpassed all expectation, and he even took Sukuna's bag and flipped the script. Somehow, Yuta has proved himself exponentially more powerful than he was before, and Yuta's domain expansion is a full masterclass of Jujutsu prowess. So Yuta, along with Yuji, make the perfect team of main characters to destroy Sukuna with their awesome power. So let's dive straight into this incredible chapter. This chapter is pure insanity as it opens with Yuta unveiling his special grade domain. This domain allows Yuta to select one curse technique that he has already copied, and he can apply that said curse technique to the sure hit effect of the domain barrier. So effectively, Yuta can choose his sure hit, and with the multiple swords scattered the surrounding true love domain, each sword possesses a random curse technique within Yuta's arsenal. Even Yuta does not know what curse techniques he's going to possess until he picks up the sword. However, once the technique engraved into the sword has been used, the sword will also disappear. However, there is no limit to the amount of katanas around them. Yuta instantly starts the real battle by unleashing mini Rika Shikigamis at Sukuna. These likely are Daru's curse technique given the orbital domain tracks. Meanwhile, the real Rika tries to slam Sukuna, but naturally, Sukuna dodges the attack. Yuta then opts to use Uro's sky manipulation, and Sukuna deduces his current situation in the midst of battle. Currently, Sukuna cannot use domain expansion, and his reverse curse technique output has slowed due to his battle with Gojo. Now at this point, Sukuna's cursed energy pool is the same as Yuta's, and he cannot use the World Slash dismantle since two of his arms are busy keeping up with Hollow Wicker Basket, and he needs his hand signs and chants in order to launch that move now. Rika then throws Yuji like a javelin straight to Sukuna, and Yuji is able to kick Sukuna once again to disrupt Sukuna's soul with his soul seizing attacks. Yuji can not only sense the contours of the soul, but it's the same for how he was able to fight Mahito. He senses the realm between Sukuna and Megami's soul, and he seeks to strike and obstruct that bond between those souls, and wake Megami up from the depths deep within Sukuna. This is very important because every time Yuji attacks, he is trying to sever that bond between Sukuna and Megami. He is steadily dropping Sukuna's cursed energy output and his overall control over Megami. Basically, it's like Yuji is effectively nerfing Sukuna, and that is actually perfect since they need every bit of leverage that they can get in this fight. Yuji is still locked in on Sukuna's arm, and Sukuna is about to use a full cleave on Yuji with his slashes. However, just in time, Yuta commands Sukuna as he says, "Don't move," freezing Sukuna in place, then launching yet another thin icebreaker, sending Sukuna flying. Rika immediately punches Sukuna and crashes him down while Yuta and Yuji give chase. However, Sukuna regains his composure and he launches a net of flying slashes that shred both Yuta and Yuji. Quickly, Sukuna kicks back Rika and shreds her hands as well, and the way Sukuna launches these slashes actually reminds me of episode 17 of season 2, so Sukuna can just vigorously cut the area in an array of slashes. But at this moment, Sukuna tones down a bit and he thinks to himself, to actually deal a fatal blow and kill these two brats, Sukuna has to touch and cut them directly. He thinks back to Ryu Ishiguri because Sukuna at just 15 fingers was not able to kill Ryu with a flying dismantle, and Ryu is actually more durable than both Yuji and Yuta, but if both opponents are at least tough like him, then he has to directly kill them with Cleave. This is very consistent because Kusakabe explained in chapter 246, flying projectile slashes are a form of dismantle. The World Slash is a stronger dismantle with an expanded target, and the Cleave activates once he touches a target, with the exception being within Malevolent Shrine, which then of course he can use dismantle and cleave freely. Getting caught by a first-hand cleave is like an instant death sentence because it adjusts depending on the target's toughness. This happens anytime he touches something, and we've seen it a couple times how it can just destroy the target or at least leave a fatal wound. Yuji almost got packed twice by it. While Sukuna's cursed energy output falling is a factor for why he can't kill them as easily, thankfully, it's not the only factor, because Jujutsu High has upgraded their defensive capabilities, so now they are able to withstand Sukuna's flying slashes. Yuta is limiting the short hits only to Sukuna, and that is an impressive skill. That in itself is praiseworthy to Sukuna, and even the King of Curses gives Yuta credit where credit's due. In this past month, all the sorcerers have really improved regarding their overall capabilities. Even Sukuna just asked what these guys were up to over the past month, and Yuji says it was hard work and determination, but no, Yuta interjects, says we cheated. But for real, this is one of the hardest panels in Jujutsu Kaisen. Two MCs, both using reverse curse technique, both withstanding Sukuna's kit, and both constantly nerfing Sukuna and pressuring him. Like, we are getting a 5-star meal here, and they just have to kill Sukuna here. They have to defeat him. Even Yuji and Yuta admit, if it were not for Gojo, we wouldn't have gotten this far. Sukuna would have annihilated them instantly if not for him. There might be some people out there that might have some sort of reasoning or think that there might be consistency issues with Sukuna, but low-key a lot might be upset that Sukuna is actually getting pressed in a real fight. But this all makes sense. Kenjaku said Yuta and the heavy hitters can only fight Sukuna after Gojo, and this is exactly why. This exact situation. Sukuna's reverse curse technique healing is sluggish. Sukuna cannot use his domain expansion. Sukuna's cursed energy output is dropping. His cursed energy levels are dropping. He is forced to use Hollow Wicker Basket, so then he also can't really use his incantations, and he cannot use his World Slash. It's just nerf, 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 debuff after debuff, and you know it has to be this way. Absolutely no way around it. This was the plan from the jump, and it's low-key crazy to try and downplay Yuta and Yuji just because of these circumstances, because A, their plan is working great. Sukuna is incredibly strong, but progress is being made. And B, it's an impressive enough feat to even face this Sukuna, because even now in this weakened state, he can probably still clear the cast. It has become a race against time to weaken Sukuna enough to where Hollow Wicker Basket is deactivated and Angel Short Hit will ravage Sukuna's soul, hopefully leading to his defeat, or else Sukuna in time will regain his cursed energy output, regain his domain expansion, and essentially at that situation he would kill everybody. Even regarding Ryu's durability mentioned in this chapter, it's still consistent. Just because Ryu is tougher, he still died all the same to Sukuna. That just proves if you are tough enough, you won't get one shot by some half-assed dismantle. I still think 15-finger Sukuna would still do the same thing to Yuta, and he'd still beat him until proven otherwise. The only clear advantage in that specific matchup would probably be Angel's curse technique, but that's the only outlier. However, now Sukuna's probably gonna have to try a bit harder to kill these two. And the chapter still continues. Yuta, Rika, and Yuji jump Sukuna and just wail on him. Surprisingly, Yuta uses Charles Bernard's curse technique of clairvoyance to see into the future. They actually gave Yuta future sight, as if he wasn't already broken enough, and Yuta absolutely decks Sukuna in the face. Then all three of them just beat down on him. So Sukuna decides to count all the techniques that he's confirmed so far that Yuta has access to. He has number 1, Angel's Jacob Ladder, number 2, Sky Manipulation, number 3, Daru Shikigami Domain Paths, number 4, Cursed Speech, and number 5, Clairvoyance. Even Sukuna goes as far to suspect Yuta might even have the Limitless too. However, even if Yuta did have the Limitless, he cannot control the Limitless without the 6 eyes. Really, at this point, just to throw that out there, Yuta really can copy any technique, and now he is about to show us something incredible. Yuta knows Sukuna is looking to understand what moves Yuta has under his arsenal, but even Sukuna will be caught off guard against a curse technique that he has not seen yet. So that technique will surely work. Yuta dual wields swords, with one having Uro's Sky Manipulation and the other holding his secret technique that he saved just for this moment. He warps in on Sukuna, Sukuna blocks the katana, however Yuta finally uses Cleave, Sukuna's own shrine technique. The slashes sink onto Sukuna and he realizes Yuta has done it. Sukuna has been bitten by his own fangs, and we end the chapter with no break next week. My brothers and sisters, last week, if you were to say Yuta could use unlimited curse techniques, that he could copy any and all techniques, that he would use future sight, that his cursed speech would actually work on Sukuna, that Yuta Okotsu would use Sukuna's cleave technique against the king of curses himself, they would have called you crazy. Well, guess what, my brothers and sisters, it's all true. Yuta is just him. He's always been him. He's always been strong, and quite frankly, him and Yuji are kind of our last hope versus Sukuna. So all the doubters, all the haters, they can just stay on that side. This was definitely the most hyped chapter since Gojo's demise, because now our guys actually have a fighting chance. I think next chapter we're going to have some confirmation on the powers and abilities, on how Yuta's copy works, since he is basically able to fully master these abilities with almost zero drawbacks. And we do not actually know the specific conditions for the technique. We have an idea, but we do not know for certain. And also, what are the limits of his techniques, like using Shrine? I think it's just Dismantle and Cleave, but Yuta could also just as well copy the Fire Arrow or other abilities. And I'd always wondered myself if Yuta could use the 10 Shadows technique, considering how strong that technique is, but I guess we're just gonna have to find out just how strong Yuta will become. Gojo paved the way. He basically died so that they can get this far. And Kashimo, well, he died. Aguruma and the rest gave it their best shot. But now, at last, reinforcements have arrived, and his name is Yuta Okotsu. And I think that's what Gege had intended for this to feel like. Like this is our second wind after so many losses. And a lot of us got our joy back just seeing Yuta in action. And I'm certain that this will kind of pave the way to save Megumi in the future, which is very exciting. But it is also scary, because what if they fail? What happens then? Even Yuji fears that outcome. If two main characters get obliterated here, what hope is there? And there's a lot more than you'd really expect or think, but some fans are preying on Yuta's downfall and Sukuna's success, and that is pretty horrible. Some say Yuta's dying next week on Valentine's Day, which is ironic considering his love themes throughout his character. But I personally think it's important to be patient, have a little bit more faith in Yuta and in Gege as well. If Yuta died as a martyr and had his own little flashback or quote-unquote airport scene, there would be such an obvious trend of deaths that low-key would be just as infuriating as it would be disappointing. Yuta does not seem like a character you can just write off in 2 to 3 chapters after this kind of setup. This plan came with a lot of sacrifice, and Yuta's domain expansion is an excellent strategy to save Megumi and defeat Sukuna. I can't say how things will turn out from this, but Yuji and Yuta will cook. They will fight, they will struggle, and they will resist the overwhelming might of Ryoma and Sukuna. The best case scenario is if this domain fight prolongs to a point where all the heavy hitters can get involved. I'm talking Yuta, Maki, Hikari, Yuji, all of them versus Sukuna. And certainly the next generation of Gojo students versus the strongest sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen, that is a very climactic battle with a ton of stakes. That is the Jujutsu Kaisen. So I really want Gege to make it happen. But that's it for this one, guys. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Will Yuji and Yuta continue to cook? Will Yuta die this fight? Or will more heavy hitters like Maki and Hikari show up? This is a crazy time to be following the series, but it's exciting. Remember to like and sub if you like this type of content, and I'll see you amazing guys in the next one. Bye-bye.